Everyone, welcome to Mindset, Motivation, and Mastery. I'm so excited about today's show. You know, we all have secret mentors in the background that have guided us, and I have two in particular that I follow. Obviously, you know me, and I really focus on leadership growth and becoming a better leader myself, but also helping teams grow in their leadership. Last week, I got to spend some time with John Maxwell in Florida. It was amazing. And now on my show is kind of the second guy that's been such an inspiration to me. And it's Jon Gordon. So Jon Gordon's a best-selling author, keynote speaker. He has best-selling books, and his talks have inspired readers and audiences around the world, right? His principles have been put out and tested by Fortune 500 companies, professional college sports teams, schools, hospitals, nonprofits. He's the author of over 20 books. I like to say I've read them all. I think I've read 18 out of the 20, but like ones that probably some of you have seen. The Energy Bus, I think I bought it for some of you. I encourage you to buy it so that you can get your team all in the right culture. You know, he's put out books, The Energy Bus, Carpenter, Training Camp, You Win in the Locker Room First. The other ones that I found really powerful is The Power of Positive Leadership and The Power of a Positive Team. So I'm just going to give you a quick video to introduce Jon, and then I'm excited that he is here to chat with us live.
I want to encourage you to love and serve and care one person at a time, one interaction at a time. Don't focus on building your business. Focus on loving, serving, and caring, and your business will exponentially grow. Do you agree with that?
Jon, so excited to have you here speaking with us today. Thanks for joining us. I know you're like, I'm in snowy Canada right now where we're having a snowstorm, so I'm barred in anyway. And you're in sunny California or sunny Florida, and then, you know, like totally two different worlds. Thanks for being on our show today.
Hey, Jared, thanks for having me. I appreciate that intro, those kind words. Very nice of you. I love Canada, but just not this time of year.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So listen, you're known as the kind of the positivity coach. You're such great leadership influencer kind of in our world today. Like, talk to me a little bit about your past, because I know like coming up and like writing your first book and some of the challenges that you've come across, and you've worked through those to be like one of the top, the top authors, top speakers in really North America, even around the world. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I appreciate that. So I'm not naturally positive, which is interesting that this is my life's work. I have to work really hard at it. I grew up in Long Island, New York, with not a lot of positivity, a lot of food, a lot of guilt, a lot of wine, a lot of whining. And growing up in a family that wasn't very positive, I had to learn to be more positive, and I wanted to be more positive, but I really struggled with it when I was around 29, 30, 31 years old. And so my wife had had enough of my negativity. And she came up to me, she said, I love you, but I'm not going to spend my life with someone who makes me so miserable. You need to change. And I had to change. I wanted to stay married. I loved her. I wanted to be a better version of myself. And so I started to work really hard on being positive, started to practice a lot of the things I write about to this day. And I asked myself, what was I born to do? Why am I here? And that's when writing and speaking came to me. I realized that I wanted to help others. I wanted to encourage others. I wanted to be encouraged. Well, I wanted to encourage others the way I was encouraged. And that drove me to actually do this work. So a horrible event in my life where my wife had enough of me and my negativity really turned into the best, because it made me change. It made me improve. And it made me find my life's work and my calling.
Yeah. Interesting. I wrote a book called Adapt. And one of the reasons I wrote that book is a similar story. Is there were so many people in my world that worked for me or worked with me that, let's say, they weren't pleased with how I was managing them, or they used, like, let's say, some negative words, how they described me. And like, I didn't want to be that person. So I really dove into, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? How do I have to get better as a person? And that's where I kind of met you in the sense of being a positive leader and reading some of your books. Someone introduced me to, I think the first book they introduced me to was The Energy Bus, which is one of your probably bestsellers. And you use that. So talk to me about, like, you have really jumped into, like, you've coached some of the best, like, sports teams, NFL teams. Like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, that's super cool how you've taken your work of positive leadership and then kind of introduced it into the sports world, and like share with that just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm thankful I get to do that. I wrote The Energy Bus, and next thing you know, coaches started to read the book, started to share it with their teams. I started to get invited to speak to various training camps, NFL teams, NBA teams, NHL teams, Major League Baseball, college programs. I work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. I work with a lot of realtors. I work with a lot of hospitals and organizations, you name it. But it's a lot of fun to work with these sports teams that have read the books. They start using the principles. And I wrote, the power of positive leadership and the power of a positive team based on all the experiences I've had working with all these different organizations and leaders. I've learned what makes great teams great. I've learned what makes great leaders great. So that's why the power of positive leadership is my core work that I do now, because it's everything I learned. It's principles, it's practices, but they're all based on the Energy Bus. That's like the foundational work that brought me into these programs and these organizations. And I love working with sports teams because you can see firsthand how well these principles work. Does the team come together? Do they perform at a higher level? Do they overcome the energy vampires and the negativity along the way? How do they deal with adversity and challenges? And how do they connect and commit as a team? What kind of culture do they build? And so as a leader, I would say, first and foremost, it's about building your culture and creating a great culture. So my work has really taken me there in many ways. And so on one level, I work with leaders and organizations to build great cultures. I work with them to help develop their leaders so that they can improve the leaders in their organizations. I'm passionate about that. And then at the team level, how do they develop great teams who work together and perform at a higher level together? And then individually, all my work over the years has been a lot of individual work in terms of the Carpenter and Training Camp, Energy Bus, and other books on how to be your best you and how to overcome negativity, how to build a positive mindset, optimism, and belief. And, I love talking about positivity because I know that's my core work. It's like positivity and leadership, the two together, right? Positive leadership.
Yeah, awesome. So, like, I work with a lot of teams, and building culture is an important part in them building their teams. Some of the team leaders struggle with doing that, and when we talk about, we've got to build this positivity world, they often look at that, that's a frou-frou thing. But like, how important is positivity in building, and how important of it is in being a part of a team?
Yeah. People say when you talk about positivity, that's just Pollyanna, that's fake positivity. This is not about seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. This is knowing that you have the power to overcome the thorns. This is not about ignoring reality. It's okay to say this is a challenge, this is adversity, this is negativity. It's about maintaining optimism and belief to create a better reality. And it's not about sugarcoating a situation. I always say it's about not allowing negativity to sour the situation. And so we're real. We're here to talk about these things, but we're here to bring more positivity to what we do, more optimism, more belief, because being positive doesn't guarantee you'll succeed, but being negative will guarantee you won't. And we know how negativity sabotages a team, an organization. We know what pessimism does to a team. I've worked with the best teams, the best leaders on the planet. I know that they are positive leaders. They're optimistic. They believe in a brighter and better future. They rally their teams to create it. They develop great relationships with their teams. They practice love and accountability. They talk about the issues. They talk about the standards. We have high standards. We have to meet those standards, but along the way, I'm going to love you, invest in you, and develop a great relationship with you in the process. Too many leaders don't lead well and don't develop great relationships, and so their team doesn't follow them, or there's voids in communication, and negativity fills those voids. So for a variety of reasons, there's a lot of issues, but you got to come together as a team and say, hey, we do need to be more positive. We need to work together in a more positive way. Negativity will sabotage us. This is real stuff. This is how real teams work. This is how real teams become great. And let's start doing these things together. And again, that's why I wrote Power of Positive Leadership, Power of Positive Team, not fables like my other books. Real examples, real principles, real practices. And I've seen firsthand, like when a team reads power of a positive team together and they do a weekly discussion of the principles, you can't hide anymore.
Yeah.
You can't just be negative. You can't have the issues exist and not do anything about them, because the book talks about the issues. The book talks about, hey, here's the challenge. Hey, here's the solution. Here's the principle that works. And once you start doing this as a team, you turn the light on and everyone sees what the issues are. And that's when you can become a great team. So I love when people say that, like, yeah, challenge me on this, because you will not win that challenge when it comes to this, because I've seen too many examples of great leadership and what they do. And it's always positive leadership, not Pollyanna leadership, positive leadership.
Yeah. I use your quote all the time. Like when I'm talking to leaders, like, you need to be communicating at a high level with your team, because if you don't, negativity will fill it. Like, that's what I say. If there's a lack or avoiding communication, negativity will fill it. And it's easy for that to happen. So I use that all the time. So if you're a team leader, what are the things that you need to focus on in order to drive teams through challenging times? Like we're talking about, like right now, like, we want our teams to be all in, to be like, have the grit that they need to work through this. And it's, you know, I called it in the title crisis, and I hate to use that word because it's just changing times. Like, I know we've got something going on, but let's be honest, there's always something happening in our world that creates a change, right? So what is a team leader's job in order to focus on their team to get them, you know, up and running through these type of times?
It's the same principles through any time, but now more than ever, these principles are very important. Like, where are we going as a team? What is it that we want to build? What is it we want to create? Set the vision, share the vision, because your vision is greater than your circumstances. Your purpose has to be greater than your challenges. So what is our purpose? Why are we going there? So really set that vision and that purpose. Get clear on where we're going and why we're going there. And then start talking about how we need to do it together, and then start investing in those relationships even more than ever. Having those conversations right now, talking about where you're going, talking about the challenges, talking about their fears and their concerns. Individual one-on-one communication and connection is essential. Talking about it as a team is essential. So you develop that bond, that connection, that greater commitment where everyone knows where they're going, why they're going there, and now they're there to do it together. So if I'm, dealing with any crisis, you can see who's connected or not. When adversity strikes, do they run away from each other or do they run towards each other? Do they fight against one another or do they fight for each other? And what this crisis has exposed, what coronavirus has exposed, is how connected you were as a team, what your culture was really like. Because if it wasn't strong, the gap got wider and it became a canyon. If you were a strong team and you had this great communication and connection, then you got even tighter. So this is a great opportunity right now, more than ever. Like, you can start right now building the relationships on your team, having those conversations, being the kind of leader they want to follow, listening, hearing, guiding, pointing in the right direction, show the way, talk about why you're going there, how you need their help, what you need to do, leading with that optimism and belief. When you do that, everyone's going to start to follow you in that direction. And so you could start right now to create a great outcome for the future.
I love that. Love that. Here's one of the biggest challenges that we face. As a coach, I push people to scale their business, scaling, leveraging, growing their business. And we start with a small team or a small company, and it's easy to have that, close culture. And as they scale and as they get bigger, what are some ways that they can maintain that positive culture and not lose it as we get bigger and become more, corporate, for lack of better terms?
You have to know what you stand for. What are your values? And those values should drive everything you do. What is your mission? Every organization today has a mission statement, but only the great ones have people who are on a mission. So are we on a mission? What is our mission? As we grow, does everyone know the mission? And so you have to make sure that culture of what you stand for, what you value, what you want to be known for, everyone knows that. Everyone is living and breathing those values. They can't just be written on the walls. They can't just be written in those nice documents that you look at or the PowerPoints. They need to come alive in the hearts and the minds of each member of your team, living those principles daily. And if you do that, it will spread, it will grow. So as you're building a company, as you're growing, you're now sharing what you stand for. You're talking about it. You're reinforcing it. When new people come on, they should go through a culture day. And the first day should be all about the culture, what the culture stands for. Who are we? Why do we do this? What do we want to be known for? What do we want customers to say about us? Culture day. And then bring the culture to life. Because if you have a culture day, but you're not living the culture, it's not doing any good. So constantly reinforce talking about it. And if everyone's doing that in the organization, if everybody knows the vision, knows the mission, everyone talks about what we stand for, what we want to be known for, everyone lives it, well, then everyone who comes on is actually going to be easily assimilated to that culture.
Yeah. Hiring the right people and getting them in the right environment and holding them to that.
Well, you hire the right people, but as you try to hire the right people, if you think about if you hire 100 people, say 10 become superstars. Say 10 have a lot of baggage and a lot of issues, and those are the people that have to go and be let go. So now you have 80 people, 80% of the people that can go one way or the other. And it's up to your culture. It's up to your environment, your leadership to provide a space and an opportunity and the direction and the coaching to help those people become superstars. And you can do that through a great culture.
Awesome. Listen, I'd love to keep you all day long. I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to end with this last question. So, if there's one piece of advice that you'd give a team leader that would have the largest impact on their team, and I'm sure you've seen in your years of doing this, some struggling teams, what would be that like one or two pieces of advice that would say, listen, this is a must do, must have. If you don't do this, then you're going to lose the war.
It starts with you. Leadership is a transfer of belief. Yeah. What do you believe? Because what you believe will determine what you create. And so you have to feed yourself every day so that way you can feed others. If you don't have it, you can share it. Optimism is a competitive advantage. And so as a leader, you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself, feeding yourself, nourishing your mind, winning the battle of your mind each day. So that way you can share those beliefs, share the optimism, share the faith with your team. As you talk about a vision, you believe in others more than they believe in themselves. Right. But you can't believe in others if you don't believe in where you're going and what you're doing. And so it's really about your belief. And so this is not just about, again, Pollyanna, not just fake positivity, real belief. I have seen firsthand Dabo Sweeney, Dave Roberts, some of the best coaches in sports. Nick Nurse, who's an incredible coach with the Raptors, talking about Canada. Nick Nurse is a good friend, and watching what he did with that championship team, he led with optimism. He led with belief. You are contagious every day. Coronavirus has taught us we're contagious in a negative way, but we're also contagious in a positive way. Hope is contagious. Faith is contagious. Optimism is contagious. Belief is contagious. Love is contagious. So you are contagious. So as a leader, you could be a germ or a big dose of vitamin C. And what do you want to be? So be contagious in a positive way. Share that with your team. Lead them every day and make sure you're encouraging them. The word encourage means to put courage into. So we need to put courage into our team by encouraging them. When we encourage ourselves, which we need, put courage into yourself when you're doing that. You're putting courage into yourself when you're encouraging. So encourage yourself, encourage others, and just know that everyone needs encouragement now more than ever. And your belief and your encouragement will have a huge impact on your team as you move forward.
Love it, love it, love it. Guys, Jon is an amazing leader, an amazing coach. If there's a few books that I can recommend that you go out and get, it's The Power of Positive Leadership, The Power of a Positive Team, like Energy Bus. I mean, I know I use that a lot with you guys. Or some of you out there to really get that, but like there's tons of books.
And The Carpenter. I think The Carpenter is a great book for realtors because it's all about building greatness and building your business.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Love, Care, and Serve. Big poster of it right here on my wall.
Love it.
Yeah, that's what I have. And I follow. Matter of fact, I use your, again, I use your, I guess you can call them, I use them as affirmations. Those affirmations, that's my affirmations that I use every day. So, and it came out of The Carpenter. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Jared.
Personal plan for my life, like all the way through the bottom. I do those every day. So,
and Jared, do they work?
They work, man. They keep me moving in the right direction and keep me focused on what matters most. Right. So, yeah.
I love that. I wrote that book. I shared those affirmations in there that the main character starts saying that the Carpenter teaches them. I started saying those myself years ago when I started as a writer and speaker, wanting to build this and grow this. And I would say every day, I trust in a bigger plan for my life. I accept all the great things that are coming my way. I receive all the clients who want to benefit from my gifts and talents. And it was amazing. The more I would say that, people would call. I would get these opportunities that would come my way. It was incredible how it happened. So I tell people, just try it for 30 days. Read the Carpenter. Try these things for 30 days and see what happens. And I've had amazing success stories from people that they did this, and incredible examples of just things that have come their way. And they're like, you're right, it works. So give it a shot, 30 days.
Yeah. And I use it for a mind shift. Like if I'm in a negative place or I'm thinking negative thoughts, I go right back to that and I go through those. And it's a mind shift for me to get me out of those negative thoughts back into what matters most. Right. So
awesome.
Jon, I really appreciate, I appreciate all your leadership for me. And I also appreciate coming on our show here today and speaking. Guys, below, follow Jon on Instagram. He's always got, or Instagram and Facebook, he's always got amazing tips. He pulls stuff out of his books and puts it on there. Also, if you want to pick up the books, jongordon.com, you can go to there and see all about him. Jon, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much, and stay in touch.
Thanks, Jared. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Bye-bye.